Hi everyone, it's Andrea. I have been asked to continue with my research diaries. I'm coming to the end of my PhD, but the research continues, and someone pointed out recently, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, so that some of this stuff on this channel is a little too much for people who haven't studied philosophy or science when they first come to it. They're interested in it, but they don't know where to begin, or they feel like they need to have 5,000 degrees from whatever in science and philosophy and technology. And yes, I've studied all these things, but that's just because I'm strange and obsessive and I have way too many degrees. And honestly, the degrees don't matter. That's not what this is about. I want you to know this is about care. It's about what we care about. And just because this channel is about all kinds of nerdy things that I care about doesn't mean that if you don't know what they are, if you've never heard of them, that somehow you're missing something. You're not. There's just so many little worlds in the world, and this is one of them. That's all. But there is a bigger point here that I think I do want everyone to understand, and that has to do with the way we think about our brain and our cognition and what brains and cognition is. So I do just today, I want to talk off the top of my head because that's what these are. I have no idea what I'm going to say, except that I want to say that right now in the world, we have an assumption that our brain is our mind and that that is somehow something like a computer. And this is not the whole story at all. In fact, we created computers in order to try to understand a very, very, very small little tip of the iceberg part of what is actually cognition. And cognition is a bodily activity. The brain is part of the nervous system, which is extends through your whole body. Your central nervous system is kind of like the road or the highway or the mycelium that's connecting all your body to itself in a dynamic, ongoing way. There's also the peripheral nervous system. You have neurons in all kinds of parts of your body. So this idea that you have a brain where all your mind is and all your intelligence and everything's locked in your head isn't true. That doesn't mean that computational ways of thinking about it aren't very helpful. They are. But part of what I'm trying to get at here is to express that what cognition is, what we understand as mind, our intelligence. Intelligence is a tricky word, but let's just say in the most generalized way, what we think of as our mind, as ourselves in many ways, because we often identify with it, is a very small part of a bodily action. And there's no beginning or ending to that. It's ongoing. It's your whole body, everything you feel, all of your senses. My dog is down there making noise. See, Holly. Holly, what are you doing? She also has mind and body and her own sort of way of being in the world. It's nothing like mine, or it's connected to me because we spend so much time together. But the point is she also has a nervous system and a brain and it's not a computer. But I just want to, if there's a kind of takeaway right now from this channel, I want you to know that what I'm trying to explore is that we are incredibly lucky that we have come to this place where we can understand that we're alive and that we're connected to one another. And mind is part of that. The brain is definitely part of that. I studied neuroscience. I love the brain. But I also want us to remember our bodies and that we're in an ongoing, participatory, dynamic, relational interaction with the world all the time. It just doesn't stop. And that can be tiring and overwhelming and hard to understand, but it's our cognition is not separate from that. It's not locked away in our heads. It is that process. The brain is doing a lot of special stuff for humans and other creatures, but it's not the only way to be minded, to have a mind. Mind is an activity, it's a process, it's ongoing. Right now, we're engaging in it together. That's something we think about a lot on this channel of how when two people come together, they're creating a sort of third entity, so to speak, although it's not, it can be multiple, many, many layers of what that is. But we're doing something together here and we're extending what's possible for each other. And that is also part of what mind really is. And there's a lot of people who've been studying that. And you can think of cognition as arising out of or with all these creatures, including humans, especially humans, in this conversation at least, and our bodies and our environments and our contexts. So when we talk about embodied cognition and or bodily cognition, it's not entombed in the body, but that the body is part of it. It's not that there's a brain and then there's a body. It's all together. The brain is incredibly important. It's part of the body, all our senses. And when we talk about ecological, there's a lot of ways to think about that if we want to look into the literature of psychology. But we can also think of it as ecological in the sense that it's an ecology. There's a lot of parts to it, and it's immediate, it's ongoing. There's also this sort of ongoing activity, this coupling is a word that we're doing, this participation, this participatory sense making. We're making sense with the world. We're making sense, like our bodies are making senses as we move through the world, even as we sit, as we breathe, as we are. And that's sense making. And then there's also making sense of things, which is this amazing capacity we have to think about our own life and have language and, feel like we're experiencing our own habits relative to what we've been going through all our lives. And I know all that can sound really complicated, but the very basic idea of it, and the reason this is love and philosophy, is that this is a process of care. Your body is caring for itself. It's in a world that's caring for it, and at least that's the way that we want it and hope for it to be. It's not always like that, and we aren't always cared for. But we do have the power to care for each other. It's harder for some of us than others because we're in situations that demand so much and that hurt and that are painful. But the reason it matters to understand mind as embodied is that the way we act with one another and with everything around us, including our technology, is setting sort of paths for what's possible for us as minds and as interbeings, as creatures that, or as humans that live with many other beings and that live with one another. There's not a computer in your head that's like dictating some kind of a code that you have to follow. You're creating that code with your interaction. And if you aren't in a good place right now, hopefully others can help you change that. And you can help yourself. And we can help one another because all that we're having to go through in our daily lives, wherever we are in the world, it's physical and it's mental at the same time. Those are just different words we use to talk about what we're experiencing because it's so overwhelming, it's hard to talk about it all at the same time. But your feelings are mental, your emotions are mental and physical, all of this. And it's your whole body and it's all our bodies together. And the care is such an important aspect to it. And not in a sentimental, silly way, just that we really are all connected. There's no space, there's no gap. And we can help one another and we can help ourselves. And only if we start to understand that we're not playing out some kind of information data pattern that's arrived in the computer that is our brain. Instead, we've developed computers and technologies and LLMs and all these wonderful, amazing, mind-blowing technologies as a way to try to get a little tiny glimpse of what actually is happening as life and as mind, as what we call mind. And there's so much more possible. with our technology and with how we can understand one another. But if we don't really understand that the mind is the body and we're just beginning with technology to understand it, we are not computers. We're much more, literally, and we can create much better technology the more we understand of ourselves. So love and philosophy is about trying to develop our critical thinking. That's the philosophy. Looking into what moves us, that's also the philosophy. Like what really kind of makes you come alive, and how do you explore that in a way that's going to add something to your life. But also the love. That word is not a silly word. It's not a rom-com. It's hard, it's challenging. It's about caring for yourself, even if you it's about understanding you're worth care. You are worth care. You're worth being cared for by yourself and by your environment. And if you're in a place where that's not happening, it's because things have just gotten really too chaotic and out of order and confused, and people have started trying to take power and control of what is shared and what is all of us. And this metaphor of the brain being a computer can help that get worse, and we don't want to help that get worse. So computation, computers, wonderful. They are doing so much. At the same time, it's not what your brain is, and your brain is not anything without your body. So, like, look, how can we think of mind as this ongoing process? And the brain tells us so much about it, but because it's a body, the brain is embodied. It's bodily. I think that's my ramblings for today. And I don't know if that's going to help anyone who's been reaching out to me, but I'm just beginning. You can tell me what more you need. And when you read these more difficult papers or books or whatever that I'm writing and putting out into the world soon, that's just another level of really what I'm saying here. Uh, yeah. So I hope you're okay out there, wherever you are, and that you find something to care about, a plant, an animal, another human, your own self, your care about what you put into your body if you can. And for those of you who can't, I hope we can find a way to make it possible for you. And there's my dog saying hi. It's time for a walk. All right. Thanks for being here.